Welcome back to another vlog. Don't forget to connect with me. So on today's video, we're just gonna cook a meal. So we're heading to the grocery store, grabbed our items, and today we're gonna work on a pâté chinois, which is shepherd's pie. So I'm just setting out all the ingredients, putting stuff away in the fridge, and then we're getting right into all of our ingredients. So stick along and enjoy a nice hearty meal. So first things first, let's clean what we need to clean. So the potatoes are in some serious need of a clean. So let's get into that. I'm just gonna speed through this part because I know you don't want to watch me clean potatoes forever and ever. But yeah, let's get back to our video. So if any of you guys like to cook, what's your favorite meal to cook? I think mine is definitely a mix between like a keto zucchini lasagna, which I will be uploading a quick sped up version of how I made it. You guys should definitely check out my TikTok because I post a lot of more short form content, but I really love making long form content, so I really hope you enjoy watching as much as I enjoy creating it. So let's get back into our shepherd's pie. So just chopping up the onions nice and well, and then we're gonna get into peeling the potatoes. So how do you peel a potato? I tend to find it's easier to peel with a knife sometimes than a potato peeler, but I think it's just my peeler isn't great, so I might have to find another potato peeler. Okay, now we're done peeling. Time to thoroughly rinse our potato before we put it on the stovetop to boil. Apologies for the background noise. I'm doing this voiceover as a million different planes are flying over my apartment, so please forgive me. Can you guess where I live based on any key markers that you've seen in this video so far? If 5 people drop suggested locations of where you think I could be living, then I'll do a giveaway. I just need 5 different people, and let's get this engagement going. Let's grow this community and this channel 1 subscriber at a time. So I'm very new to this whole vlogging, content creator, shebang-a-bang, but let me tell you, this is really hard. Creating voiceovers, making sure that everything syncs well, that you're not talking over a clip that should have been explained previously, and that everything just flows together. It is such an art and a craft, but yeah. So now we're getting into boiling our potatoes and then putting our ground minced beef on the stovetop, and then making sure that my secret to cooking, the reason why I love eating my food so much, is because I have mastered the art of seasoning. If you just know how to season and when to use this and when to use that, just when in doubt, add more seasoning. Sure, you shouldn't overdo it with the salt, but please, please, please season your food. Even if you're boiling potatoes, season that water. It'll make a world of a difference. So that is my tip. From me to you, from my lips to God's ears. I honestly don't know why it looks like I'm banging this meat so aggressively, but you know, a girl's gotta eat, and it starts with this ground beef. As I previously mentioned, here goes the seasoning. So we're starting off with some salt, and as I told you, I'm also salting the water that I'm boiling the potatoes with, even though we will also be seasoning the potatoes later on. Let's just get this marinated. So I believe I put in some thyme as well with the potatoes, and then you'll see me starting to just really go in with the ground beef. Actually, it looks like it was actually rosemary that I used, but there's no like specific measurement or what to use, what not to use. I just usually add what I think will work together, and somehow it magically does. So I think you should have the basic seasonings like Cajun, allspice. Garlic Plus is one of my favorite all-time seasonings. And then there's like Montreal chicken, there's the keg beef spices as well with the chicken and ribs. I have cumin, I have pretty much everything. But I like to use a lot of garlic, as you can see right here. Garlic is the best because who has time to cut up fresh garlic? I know I don't, and I will never want to do that. So that's what I do. I'm just adding in the onions as well to the ground beef. I like to use red onions. I've never been a fan of white onions. I will buy them if there's no red onions or if a recipe really calls for white onions, but I don't see a time where like one onion would make a difference. I just like the visual of red onions or purple onions, whatever you want to call them. Another secret to my cooking is peppercorn. When I discovered putting the whole peppercorn kernel into your dishes makes it have like a natural mild spice, but it also gives it like a kick and a nice peppery scent to your cooking. Yeah, so I never miss it. I think I overdo it at times, but you just gotta handle the heat. A meal is not a meal if you're not struggling. And I like to eat and drink at the same time, so it works for me. Can't forget the garlic plus, the soy sauce, the Maggi aroma beef flavor. I also go in with a chili oil, and then also a hot Italian red pepper paste. So that really elevates the whole dish. And I like to cook in a way that makes sense for me. Like, I am not the most aesthetic chopper. I don't know how to chop aesthetically, but it works for me. I have a bunch of flavor and the food tastes good. It's probably not always the best aesthetically pleasing plate, but your mouth will be happy and so will your tummy. Now we're going in with the sauce that nobody could ever pronounce, and I'll give it my best shot. I'm already starting. I'll give it my best shot. Worcester sauce. And then we're going in with the tomato paste to give it that nice color, and later on I'll be adding in a little bit of liquid just to get everything going and get that nice juicy sauce flowing. Was just checking with the fork on the potatoes to see if they're tender enough. We're gonna give it a few more minutes because the pieces I chopped were fairly big, so it will take a bit longer for those pieces to cook through. So yeah. As someone who's in her late 20s, what are a few hobbies or a few pastimes that you guys like to do to stay busy and occupied and just like keep your mind alert and focused and bring balance to your life? I was thinking about joining a book club. I just don't know how to go about doing that, but I will definitely keep you updated on my journey. And another key tip that I was just always taught pretty recently is just clean as you go, because it gets really messy like throughout the whole cooking process with mixing and chopping and sauces and water pouring everywhere. So like just occasionally pause what you're doing, clean the surface, and then get back to cooking, because you deserve to be cooking in a clean environment. And as much as you want to leave it to the end, it's a lot easier when you cook and multitask as you know, make your beautiful, delicious meal. Now, no shepherd's pie is complete without green beans, corn, and carrots. And you cannot forget about the peas. So that's exactly what we added to our ground beef mixture. And that also is gonna add some more moisture, because I did use frozen vegetables because that's all I had. And it works for me. Do what works for you and your family. And I will do what works for me and my family. So as we continue to cook this bomb meal that everybody will want to taste once you see how it comes out at the end, let's talk about life. Like, what prompted me to start this channel? Why the interest? Like, why now? All that stuff. So just to get deep and personal, although I don't really showcase my face, you'll definitely see a lot of my personality through these voiceovers and the way I storytell and just document my journey. But this year was a year of pivoting career-wise. I moved to another continent, I volunteered abroad, and then I decided to stay because I thought this was what was next in my journey and my path. So now we are just figuring it out one day at a time, giving myself the time and the space and the grace to really determine what I want in the next decade of my year. In a few weeks, I will be entering a new decade. And as much as people hate aging, the concept of women aging, and all of this jazz, I'm actually really super excited for what the future holds. And I think I'm in a really good space. After a few months of really soul searching and figuring out what would make me happy, I think I'm just figuring it out. I'm creating content. I'm really just creating a digital diary of my life and how I'm living, and my younger self, the little childhood girl inside me, would be so proud of the woman that I've become. So yeah, that's just a little warm and fuzzy about me and what's motivating me and what's really driving me to unleash my creative side that I actually never really delved into because I was just so career focused and so money driven and just so go and climb the corporate ladder. And although I did experience a lot on my professional and career side of things, I think this is the time for me to pivot into the next 20 years of what my career life will look like. So yeah, that's just a little bit about me, Miss Lay, and I know if you stick around, you will learn a whole lot more about me. So now, as you can see, of course, back to the shepherd's pie. Let's pivot a little back to our cooking video. So the potatoes look like they are completely done. There's just one or two that just need to stay in a little bit longer. But as I mentioned, clean as you go. So now that we're just waiting for the 1 to 2 potatoes to just boil a little bit longer, we're just gonna clean and make sure our kitchen is as clean as possible, because we do not want a mountain of dishes at the very end of this once we're done cooking. And it's been a few hours, so we want a clean kitchen, clean mind, clean kitchen, and yeah. And that is just how I like it, nice and clean. Alright, so now our minced beef base is nice and ready. Our potatoes are ready. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make our mashed potato mix. So we're going to take the potatoes, put them in a larger saucepan, and then we're going to mash it down and make sure we add some butter, and almond milk is what I'm using. But first, of course, we have to stop for a little bit of a wine break and just, cleanse our palate, because we've been slaving away in the kitchen all in the name of love and home cooking. So back to our mashed potatoes. Like I mentioned, I've added in some butter. I'm adding the almond butter. If you like regular milk, use what works for you. This is just a nice little skeleton of how to make the recipe, but please do customize and let your creative juices flow in the kitchen. So red pepper, allspice, which to me allspice is garlic plus, because that's just my go-to seasoning. Lawry's seasoning salt, you can never go wrong with that. Just be careful of the sodium. Up to what you like and what works for your diet. So it's looking good. You know this is season 2 the 9s. Now come along to episode 1 of The Diaries of an Unemployed Girlie in her late 20s. If you can even still say that at 29 and 10 months. The transition from corporate to nonprofit to full-on unemployment. So welcome to the diaries of an unemployed girlie who is literally just trying to navigate this thing we call life. We will explore the spaces between what was and what's next. So come along if you dare. I can't promise glamour, but I can guarantee that it's going to be real. And I will be enjoying the ride, the good, the bad, the sad, the happy, the emotional roller coasters, and all. This is entry 1, the pivotal moment. I used to dream of this, the freedom, the flexibility, the chance to build a life on my own terms. And now that I have, it doesn't feel so settled. Why does it feel so unsettling? It's wild how reality rarely feels like the dream you once had. The moment is here, but instead of feeling accomplished, I feel stuck, uncertain, anxious. I know this is a pivotal moment in my life, one that will define my future. But some days I can't help but wonder, am I actually making progress? It comes down to the illusion of arrival. So when I passed my PMP last December, I thought the hard work was over. I failed the first time, and the sting of the failure made me work even harder. But when I finally saw the congratulations on my screen, I didn't feel what I expected. Relief, sure, but there was also panic, serious panic, because there was no excuse. I had the certification, but still no job. People say education opens door, but they also don't tell you that sometimes you still have to knock on 100 doors before one opens. So while I was proud, I also had this nagging question in my head, like, what now? The search for purpose, my purpose. Being unemployed isn't just about the lack of a paycheck, it's also about the lack of direction that I really felt I was missing. Some days I woke up ready to take on the world, applying for remote jobs, networking, creating content. Other days I just felt like I was floating, unsure if anything I'm even doing matters. But here's what I do know. This is honestly a test of patience, a test of faith, a test of how badly I want this life I'm building. So I'm truly experimenting, trying things out, VPN research, trying to find remote jobs that let me travel freely, posting on TikTok daily to my 12 followers, turned to 21, now up to 48, and I'm not stopping there. Cooking content, blogging, I'm documenting everything. Whether it looks professional, whether it looks like an amateur, I'm working out even on days where I feel stuck. And I remind myself that I'm not waiting for life to happen. I'm actually creating it. So there's the fear of getting lost, but I know I need to hold on to why I started this journey in the first place. The uncertainty, the frustration, it's all part of the process. But I can't lose myself in the waiting. I can't let my identity be tied to a job title or even a number of job rejections that I get constantly in my inbox. I'm more than a job, more than my unemployment status. I am a creator, a builder, and totally a work in progress. So my final thoughts to you today is, on your journey, it is only yours and yours alone. Here's a quote that I really often find so endearing and really puts perspective to life. Here's the quote. It goes like this. Some people become CEOs at 25 and die at 50, while others become CEOs at 50 and live until they're 90. So we're all on our own timeline. So just focus on your path, essentially. If you're in a transition period like myself, don't rush it. The story is unfolding exactly how it's supposed to. So just trust the process. And on that note, here is the final steps of making this shepherd's pie. I'm just going to end it with a quote from Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans to give you a future and a hope. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye, besties.